Good afternoon. Today I'd like to introduce another memory topic to you, and that topic has to do with something that was generated some time ago by a man named Endel Tulving. Tulving spoke of memory as being of two types, and it makes sense, I think, if you listen to what he says. The first type he talks about is what we experience every day, episodic memory, it's called. We remember the episodes that occur in our daily life. We remember what happened in the morning and what we had for breakfast, where we went, who we talked to, what we did. We may not remember all of it extremely well, but we do remember it. The other type of memory that Tulving talked about was something that he referred to as semantic memory. Now, memory for episodic events is one thing, but semantic memory is memory for meaning, verbal memory, the meaning of words, and what we mean when we say certain sentences. Now, as I said earlier, episodic memory is just a kind of continual recording of what happens to us and what we experience throughout the day. Semantic memory, on the other hand, is using that information and creating memory and understanding of verbal language from what we encounter. And this is where who we are and what we experience can change things a lot. Some of us have lived in places in a city where there are very few trees, not many wild animals or anything like that. And so what we learn will necessarily have to do with things that occur in a city, the things that we see consistently over and over again. A bus, a stoplight, crowds of people, going into a restaurant, and identifying certain kinds of things that we like and experience. Maybe we go into a restaurant and get a donut every morning. And so we learn that there are different kinds of donuts, and we learn that there are different names for them. Or we go shopping and go into a shoe store and look at different kinds of shoes. And while the shoes are different from one another, they have that certain characteristic of the things we put on our feet, which are useful and important for us to understand. If we live in the country, we may be on a farm. We may identify barns and houses and a lot of open space. We may be familiar with animals like cows and bulls or sheep. It's likely that we will have a dog that we play with or interact with. And it's likely that we will be involved with or working with different types of plants. Much more exposed to trees. All of these kinds of things differentiate meaning memory, although meaning is derived from the episodes that we experience. But certain things recur episode after episode after episode, and those we identify, recognize, and even though they are slightly changed from moment to moment, we see that they are still the same thing and we give them a name. That is semantic memory, the naming of all of the parts of our lives and creating a story of our lives around those various parts. The fact that each of us is quite different from one another is simply that each of us has a different mind to begin with. We grow up in different circumstances, and the things we learn that become important to us are different depending on whether we live on a farm, by a lake, in a big city, in a small town. So meaning is attached to these things, and we learn to program and connect certain of these things, and those are the distinctions between episodic events and meaningful semantic events. Talk to you soon.